Hi, and welcome to today's Daily Chronicle. Today is Thursday, October 30th, 2025. Schools close and island life is under threat as Greece reckons with low birth rates. 4-year-old Vasiliki Vorgou and her teacher Maria in their kindergarten class in the village of Thanos on the Greek island of the Lemons on September 29th. Ordinarily, there are two pupils in their small classroom, but one student is sick. So on this day, it's just Vasiliki. Families in the US and around the world are having fewer children as people make profoundly different decisions about their lives. NPR series Population Shift: How Smaller Families Are Changing the World explores the causes and implications of this trend. The school day is just getting started, and 4-year-old Vasiliki Vorgou, a little girl with dark eyes and hair pulled back in a shiny ponytail, with a hot pink scrunchie, is alone. Most days there are two pupils in this classroom on the Greek island of Lemnos, with big windows and a few of the schools from the Greek island of Lemnos. But one student is sick, so today is just Vasiliki, going through the morning routine with her teacher. The sky is gray, but Vasiliki's teacher says when the weather is nice, she tries to let the girls outside to interact with the other children during the breaks. They wait for the kids from the primary school to get out, and they join them also so they can be more social, the teacher, Maria, said through an interpreter. Lemnos in the northern Aegean is home to roughly 16,000 people, spread across a few dozen small villages. Vasiliki's school in the small village of Thanos is one of many in Greece that's facing declining student numbers as younger people move away and those who stay have fewer children. Vasiliki's father, Stelios Vorgos, works long hours as a shepherd, but he can't imagine raising Vasiliki and her baby brother anywhere else. Here I fell in love with my wife. Here is my job, Vorgos said through an interpreter. For the kids, it's a paradise to be raised on an island because big cities feel like a jungle. Children play on the playground of a primary school on the Greek island of Lemnos on September 29th. The solitary jacket of a 4-year-old Vasiliki hangs on the clothes rack in her kindergarten. But the way of life here faces increasing challenges. The primary school in the village where his wife grew up was shuttered decades ago, he says. He attended the same school in Thanos where Vasiliki is now a student, as did his father. But now he worries it will be shut down. Without a thriving school, he said, there won't be much left here. There's a chain reaction after a school closes, so people move into different places, and then just the old people are left there, and you see villages disappearing, Vorgou says. Across most of the world, people are having far fewer children with their parents than their parents and grandparents did. Greece's birth rate is about 1.3 births per woman, well below the 2.1 level needed to maintain the population. Vasiliki's father, Stelios Vorgos, works long hours as a shepherd. The low birth rate is especially visible in rural communities like Thanos and on Greek islands like Lemnos, where hundreds of schools are cutting programs or closing. Nationwide, Greece's education ministry announced more than 700 schools will close this year alone, or about 5% of the nation's schools. Lemnos in the northern Aegean Sea is home to roughly 16,000 people, spread across a few dozen small villages. The island's infrastructure and available services are also affected, plus limited employment opportunities. Maltadinos, president of the Primary Education Teachers Association on Lemnos, said, "This means young couples have little incentive to stay on the island and leave, even if they are originally from here. For those who stay, healthcare services can be limited." Virgo said he and his wife spent thousands of euros to travel for medical care for each of her 2 pregnancies. The island's small public hospital has no neonatal ICU services, so many pregnant women make that choice, said Dr. Olga Katira, who has been working as a pediatrician on Lemnos for more than a decade. Katira says she's noticed the birth rate shift in her own office. "We used to have 6 to 7 newborns per month, and now we have 3, she said. "That is a decline that we can see." While the problem is more pronounced in Greece's small towns and island communities, Katira worries about the future of the country as a whole. "We are a small country. It continues declining. It will be very, very difficult," she said. As families have had fewer children or left the island, the population of Lemnos has plummeted by more than a third since the early 1950s, from a peak of more than 27,000 people to about 16,000 in the most recent census. The mayor of Lemnos, Ilingwara, Georgia, said shuttered schools around the island are one of the most obvious signs of the decline. Switching back and forth between English and Greek, Georgia said the overall population was getting smaller and older. A woman relaxes on the beach in Lemnos, in the North Aegean Sea. The Greek island is home to more than 16,000 people. Ilorna Georgia, the mayor of Lemnos, in her office. Georgia said the overall population in Lemnos is getting smaller and older. In the contemporary lifestyle of the people nowadays, they're not choosing to create families anymore, she said through an interpreter. In September, the Greek government announced new tax incentives designed to address the birth rate decline. Georgia said she would also like the European Union to intervene. Asked if she thinks more immigration to Greek islands, like Lemnos, could also be a solution, she hesitated. "It depends on who," she said. In recent years, Greece has seen a sharp increase in the number of migrants traveling from Eastern Europe, Africa, and the Middle East, as Europe has seen waves of anti-immigration protests. Georgia said she'd rather see Greeks who've left the country come back. Those worries are shared by Angelos Vlapas, the principal of another local primary school on Lemnos, who said he's considered about what immigration means for Greek identity. "We're not criticizing the people who came here to make a living," Vlapas said through an interpreter. "On the contrary, those who have remained have become valuable members of the local community. However, that doesn't change the fact that they belong to a different nationality." Alexandra Trakaki, a professor of economic demography at Harokyopio University of Athens, said modern women are having fewer children, in part because they've taken on responsibilities in the workplace without having traditional domestic responsibilities proportionally reduced. Women changed roles, but no one else did. Tragagi said, "Neither the society nor the men, so part of the role that used to be covered by women were left uncovered. And when that happens, obviously, it's the size of the family that is affected. So obviously, when you have both things to do, parenting and working, what you cut down is the number of children you parent." An elderly woman on the streets of Forni, Greece, on October 1st. Tragagi said many young Greeks who grew up at a time when the country was struggling under a catastrophic economic turndown, worry about their own future. They have been brought up in consecutive crises. Tragagi said, they were born in crisis. They were brought up in financial crisis, in energy crisis, in pandemic crisis. So what they have learned is that they need to expect the unexpected. The idea that the culture around family is shifting in a profound way also resonates with longtime residents in another smaller island, Fernie. The island, nearly 200 miles southeast of Lemnos across the Aegean Sea, is home to roughly 1,000 people, depending on the time of year. On a sunny, clear morning, a group of elderly men sit outside a local market under the flawless blue sky. Parthenos Flatzen left, 92, and Nikolai, 86, in the center, on the Greek island of Forni on October 1st. Parthenios, 92, and Nikolai, 86, are reminiscing about the past, and through an interpreter say they worry about the country's future. In 10 years, Greece will be a country of old people. Amorgianos said. Amorgianos believes younger generations are choosing to have fewer children because their values have changed. Now, the young people, they only care about the bars, about going out, and they've abandoned the mountains. They've abandoned the countryside, he said. Fleitzen agreed. He believes women, in particular, have changed. Fleitzen agreed. He believes women, in particular, have changed. Women back then had 5, 6, 7 children, he said, and they still took care of the goats in the garden. The chickens, Amorgianos added. Amorgianos remembers his mother making her own bread, but now he believes younger people want everything to be convenient. So yes, life has become easier and people have gotten lazier, he said. Women today have more choices, but for those who choose to raise children on a remote island, that choice comes with its own difficulties. Katerina Vrana lives on the even smaller island neighboring Foroni, Thymaina, with her husband and their 3 children. Through an interpreter, Vrana says she and her husband were both born and raised on the island. He's a fisherman and she owns a restaurant. For her first 2 pregnancies, she said she hesitated because of the cost. Varna says she paid thousands of euros to travel off the island to see doctors and deliver her babies. She wanted another child, she said, but she hesitated because of the cost. Then she found out about Hope Genesis, an Athens-based nonprofit that pays for medical care and transportation for pregnant women from small islands and villages. It's funded largely with corporate and philanthropic support. Rana said the program allowed her to make her dream of a third child a reality. Hope Genesis started by working with women in Forney a decade ago and has since expanded services to some 500 small villages and island communities. In an effort to help reverse the declining birth rate. When they felt secure, when they felt they had financial support, women started having babies again. Project manager with Hope Genesis, Eva Papadaki, said, the port of the tiny Greek island of Themania. A girl carries a package from the ferry between the Greek islands of Fornia and Themania. But even with that financial help to have children, raising them on small islands is challenging. The primary school of Themania is down to just 2 grade school students. There's no school for Varna's 2 older children, who travel to Forney for secondary school by ferry. This year, Varna said her youngest son would have been the only child in Themania's kindergarten, so she decided to send him by boat to Forney, to the kindergarten that serves all of that island's children, so he won't be alone. Many days, Rana and her son ride the ferry to Forney for school, along with his older siblings and a few others. One of the secondary students, 16-year-old Georgia Gramataku, said sometimes in the winter the weather is too dangerous for her and her twin brother to make a crossing to go to school. While Georgia enjoys her island home, she doesn't think she'll stay here. It's very nice here and it's peaceful, but I don't see myself living here in the future because there aren't many opportunities. She said through an interpreter, "People are slowly leaving the island." She said, "And the shops are closing." Children in kindergarten class on Greek island of Fernie on October 1st. Back on Fernie, Dimitris Markakis, a local business owner and a city official, says family life has always been important in Greece. But it was once seen as an essential. Many families were poor, he says, but they saw having children as a source of happiness, as the meaning of life. Marquis is in his mid-40s with 2 children. He left the island to study abroad before returning to his family. He thinks the stresses of modern life are one reason people are having fewer children. Still, Markakis said his people are strong and he is hopeful. Greek people are very hard and they always face problems with responsibility, he says. I am optimistic. White House fires entire commission that reviews design for federal buildings. The Jefferson Memorial and U.S. Capitol are seen alongside the tidal basin in an aerial photograph taken on approach to Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport near Washington, D.C. on October 22nd, 2024. The White House has fired 6 members of the U.S. Commission of Fine Arts, the independent federal agency that advises President and Congress on design plans for monuments, memorials, coins, and federal buildings. The 7-member commission is made up of experts in architecture, art, urban and landscape design. Since its creation in 1990, the Commission has reviewed plans for everything from Arlington National Cemetery to Maya Lin's Vietnam Veterans Memorial. As first reported by the Washington Post, the commissioners who were terminated are Bruce Redmond Becker, Peter D. Cook, Lisa E. Delplace, William J. Lehan, Justin Garrett Moore, and Vice Chair Hazel Ruth Edwards. The chair position, now vacant, was held by Billy Tayson. One of the architects working on the Obama Presidential Center in Chicago, Lynn Han, confirmed in an email to NPR the 6 were terminated effective immediately. In an email to NPR, The White House said it is preparing to appoint a new White House ballroom and has plans for a monument similar to the Ark. De Triomphe in Paris, which he says will celebrate the 250th anniversary of the adoption of the Declaration of Independence. In an email to NPR, architect Bruce Redmond Becker, one of the commissioners who was fired, wrote that neither project has been submitted for review yet. President Trump has not yet announced who the new commissioners will be. During his first term, Justin Shubo, founder and president of the National Civic Art Society, served as chair, and White House ballroom architect James McCrary was one of its commissioners. In 2021, President Biden fired 4 commissioners who had been appointed by Trump in his first term, including Shubo. Like Trump, Shubo is a champion of traditional and classical architecture. The White House has not yet responded to NPR's request for comment.